Hey everyone, so this video will be a part of a 3-video series about KvK mechanics. The first one here I will go over all the mechanics themselves, what you can do, what you can't do during KvK. In the second video I will join them together to describe the best strategy we found for defending the kingdom, and the third will be how to conquer. So here, again, not describing anything on what you should do or ought to do, but rather what you can do. So let's start with the event center. You have here the Crown Invasion event. Once every 6 weeks, you get reshuffled and you get 3 new kingdoms. You get 3 encounters with each kingdom, each set of kingdoms, once every 2 weeks. In the last time, you will not know who you will be facing. So the clock here above on the top left and the clocks below will be the same. And then at the moment of start, then there is a reshuffle, and then you get the new kingdoms. Now, I heard multiple theories on how the matchup is done. I haven't seen anything that made me think there is a strong correlation between a claim and what actually happens. Not the alliance power, not amount of strong players, not if you won or lost previous KvKs. Nothing made sense so far, as far as I've seen. So it could be just pure random. So we got last time Kingdom 1 and 72, and we're fighting them. So the event starts, and then you want to go to another kingdom. So let's say Kingdom 72. Now, first thing you want, if you want to invade. So you will have a button here that will allow you to invade. It will cost you 2,000 gold. You can't use advanced teleport. If you have reinforcements inside you, you cannot jump between kingdoms with reinforcements inside you. So you need to send them back, and then you can jump to this kingdom. Once inside, you can port with advanced teleport or 2,000 gold wherever you want. Now, there is a strong separation between things that are inside the forest and outside the forest. Porting or invading, you can invade anywhere in the kingdom. You're not limited to the forest itself. But you are allowed to interact only with things that are inside the forest, whether it's enemy players or your own players. So for example, you can attack, scout, rally, anything that is inside the forest. You can, if you have your own alliance players here, you can trade with them, you can reinforce them. If there are here the tiles you can gather, you can kill beasts. I haven't seen red camps in the forest yet, but if there is one, you can attack it. Anything that is inside the forest, again, whether your own alliance players or the other kingdom, you cannot interact in any way, shape, or form. You can't attack, you can't scout, you can't reinforce your own players, you can't trade, you can do nothing. So a small strategy that people suggested, let's fill up the forest and then people will not be able to invade. This is false. You can port anywhere you want in that kingdom. So this is in terms of being inside the kingdom. Now, let's talk about the palace itself. In order to conquer a kingdom or to defend your own kingdom, you need to hold a palace for 8 hours. Holding means that your alliance players are inside the palace for 8 hours straight. You don't have to. The first player who is inside does not have to be inside for the full duration of the 8 hours. So you can go first, then your alliance member comes second, then you may leave, then you may return. As long as there is an alliance player holding the palace, the clock keeps on running consistently. In order to interact with the 5 buildings, the towers, the 4 towers, or the palace, you must be in an alliance. You cannot be a tagless player. Inside the palace, you can do a mega garrison. Once you're inside and you lost some troops, for example, someone attacked you, you can add troops. You will have an add troops button here. And I think this is basically it. Yeah, you can also take a mega garrison. If, for example, you jumped out and then jumped back, and while you were out, someone else took the mega garrison, then you can take the mega garrison for you, back to you. The mega garrison holds for 4 hours, so you need to refresh it every 4 hours. And this is the palace. One element about the palace, there is the war history here, which is useful. So for example here, I came to reset them roughly at the beginning, and they and I looked here to see how many people are inside. So I saw there were 4 people, roughly 800k troops. So I decided that and they weren't mega garrisoned, so I decided I can wipe them with a solo march. So this is what I did. So this is also useful to look here. You can also look at the Hall of Kings to see how many times were they able to hold their own crown. This is a fairly good indicator on whether this kingdom is strong or not. And this is the palace. Now let's talk about towers. There are 4 towers. Once a tower is held by an alliance who is not the alliance that is inside the palace, it doesn't matter if this alliance from the same kingdom, from a different kingdom, just any alliance that is different from the alliance inside the palace, the tower starts shooting at the palace. The tower shoots every 4 minutes and kills 1% of the troops. And kills. No wounded at all. This is a lot. So if you have 1 hour, roughly in that hour, you will lose 15% of the troops inside. If you have 4 towers shooting and it's held for 8 hours, this will cost you a lot. You will need to wipe, I think, maybe 3-4 marches if the only thing you do is just add troops to the palace. I think the troops that die from the towers are random distribution. It's not focused on infantry and stuff like that. The timer where it starts shooting, I'm not sure if it's 4 minutes after the initial conquer of the tower, or is it some round number every 4 minutes. I think I have seen a tower shoot a minute after conquering, but I'm not sure. Maybe it's 4 minutes after it was conquered initially. At any rate, it shoots every 4 minutes, and yeah, 1% damage is a lot. So this is the tower. The tower is also the same mechanic as the palace. You can add troops, you can make a garrison, you can rally it if you're attacking, all that jazz. Now, let's talk about strategy center. If you are, let's say, positioned here, then in this kingdom, any alliance can deploy all strategies on you. They can deploy poison water, they can deploy freeze, they can deploy boom cannon. They can also deploy boom cannon on the towers themselves and on the palace itself. When you are in this kingdom, you cannot disrupt the strategy from your own strategy center because it's not in your kingdom. You can't use your own strategy center to here. Now, advanced point about freeze. When you are frozen here, you can, during KvK, you are able to break freeze. You cannot port inside this kingdom, you cannot port back home. By the way, porting home costs 0, so it's free. But if you invade to the third kingdom, this breaks the freeze. And then you can port there, and from there you can port home or back to this kingdom to another location. And then, once you are back here, the freeze magically returns. And then you can't port again. If one kingdom has already finished and secured its palace, and it's out of the game, and you got frozen in a kingdom you invade to, and there aren't any other kingdoms to invade to, then you're actually stuck, and you are indeed frozen. Now, I should definitely do a video on strategy center. There are many quirks there. For example, to break boom cannon, it's far from direct or obvious how to do that, but this is for a different video. Now, players who are sitting inside the forest, you can reinforce, no problem. Players who are outside, you cannot reinforce. But if a player was inside, got reinforced by you, he can then jump out and then he will be reinforced. So this is another thing that is possible. Let me think if I missed something. So you invade another kingdom, you need to hold the palace for 8 hours. There is the strategy center. About spying and getting info and intelligence, this should be another video. Yeah, I think this basically covers it. There's a fair chance I missed some small points, but I'll probably notice them in the defending or the attacking video. So these are the base mechanics. So same applies to your own kingdom. Just to note, in case it wasn't obvious, any player in this kingdom can interact with anyone coming here, whether they are inside the forest or outside. So if you're parked here, they can attack you freely as much as they want. I think these are the basic building blocks. Next video I'll talk about how to defend, and the next one how to conquer.